Hello class, this is Mesopotamia and the Fertile Crescent, the study guide review, where I'll go through all of the important things you need to know for the test, which will be in a few weeks. Alright, so I'm going to start with the Fertile Crescent. So the Fertile Crescent is a large arc of rich, fertile farmland in Southwest Asia. So you can see it in this picture here below, right? The green area is the Fertile Crescent. And you can see how the Fertile Crescent kind of covers what was known as Mesopotamia. So Mesopotamia means between the two rivers, and specifically the rivers that it is referring to are the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. So if you look on the map in the top left here, Mesopotamia was located between those two rivers. So that's something you need to remember. And crops grew well in Mesopotamia because the farmland was fertile, which means that things grew well there, and water was nearby. And here's a picture of somewhere in the area of the Fertile Crescent. All right, so one of the key developments was the construction of canals, right, which are human-made waterways. They're human-made, right? So humans, through engineering and digging and all that, created their own kind of mini rivers. Those are canals, human-made waterways. Remember, rivers are natural, so there's a difference there. With canals, they were able to get water to their crops better, and what happened with that was a surplus was created, which is more than is needed, right? More, in this case, more food than was needed. With that, right, with having more food, people could then focus on other jobs. Not everyone had to be a farmer. And that's where division of labor came in, which is each worker specializing in a particular task or job. And all of this kind of led to the formation of villages and cities. And this is how this happens on the right. People settled where crops could grow, then the population grew, and villages and cities formed. So that's the progression of how civilizations form. All right, an empire is a land with different territories and peoples under a single rule. Sargon was the king of Akkad, and he built the world's first empire. And an important fact you need to know about him is that he was one of the first military leaders to arm his soldiers with bows and arrows. Now, there were city-states within these empires, and city-states fought each other because they wanted to have enough farmland to grow food, so they were fighting for that farmland. And city-states protected themselves from invaders by building a wall around their city. All right, this is kind of tough, remembering the list of Mesopotamian civilizations, starting with Sumer, the Akkadian Empire, the Babylonian Empire, the Hittite Empire, the Kassite Empire, the Assyrian Empire, the Chaldean Empire, and the Phoenician Empire. Now, if you can remember that Egypt was not a part of Mesopotamia, that was its own civilization, you'll be okay on this question for the test. But this is a list of civilizations you need to list on your study guide. In Mesopotamia, in Sumer, they were polytheistic, meaning they worshipped many gods, and their primary place of worship was the ziggurat, which is a pyramid-shaped temple tower. Social hierarchy developed in Sumer, which was the division of society by rank or class, and a person's social class or rank in Sumerian society depended on their wealth and their occupation. Occupation is just a fancy word for job. This table, or this triangle here, which you need to remember here, is it kind of shows the social classes, the social ranks in Sumer. So on the bottom, it's larger, and so there were more farmers, laborers, and slaves. And obviously, there's only one king, right? So that's the top of the pyramid. The king's at the top, farmers and laborers and slaves on the bottom. There would not be very many priests because, right, it's near the top. Obviously, there's only one king, or there's very few rulers. Right, so that's what you need to remember about this table. This table or triangle, this graphic organizer for the social classes in Sumer. Cuneiform is a form of writing using wedge-shaped symbols. It is important that you remember cuneiform was created by the Sumerians, and a scribe is a writer in Sumer. Hammurabi's code was a set of 282 laws that dealt with almost every aspect of daily life. This is the stele with Hammurabi meeting a god, and the god's giving him the laws, and then on the right here is the laws themselves in cuneiform. Nebuchadnezzar was a famous Chaldean king who rebuilt Babylon into a beautiful city, and he was probably most famous for the construction of the Hanging Gardens at his palace in Babylon. So this is Nebuchadnezzar on the left and his Hanging Gardens on the right. All right, lastly, here's the Phoenicians. The Phoenicians' greatest contribution to our world today was their alphabet, all right, which looks something like this. Not the same as ours, but one of the world's first alphabets that we know of. And cedarwood was the most popular resource the Phoenicians traded. I put this picture on the right because they're also expert sailors, but their greatest contribution was their alphabet, and their most popular resource that they traded was cedarwood. All right, so if you go through this and you pause as you need to along the way, you're going to be able to fill out your study guide. All right, thanks.